Hello, my name is Sven Ringling. I'm SAP HXM advisor at Orbis People in Germany. In our series of SAP SuccessFactors stories, today we want to talk about making SuccessFactors a market of opportunities for your employees. This means SuccessFactors is meant to help you to improve retention and internal development by putting your employees in the driver's seat of their own careers and personal growth. As an organization, one question we have to ask ourselves is, do we understand our own capabilities? Quite often, you might have a situation similar to the one shown in this picture. Somebody in the office building, there is a person desperate for a Japanese speaker they need to lead a new team. Somewhere else in the organization, there's a capable employee who has perfect Japanese skills and would love to use them in their job, but they don't get the opportunity. In your organization, would those two people actually ever learn about each other? Or would your organization do what many organizations do and look outside first? When employers spend a lot of money in hiring external talent, which is scarce, difficult to find, and often, frankly, goes wrong, and employees who despair by not finding the right opportunities to develop internally turn to external platforms like LinkedIn or maybe even Facebook to find new opportunities. The idea is that we use sub-success factors to help you to create that internal marketplace for opportunities where your employees are excited to explore all kind of growth opportunities, development opportunities, career opportunities, and be a buyer as well as vendor on this kind of colorful market that is fun to explore. In this success factor story, we want to show you this little journey of empowerment with our hero being Catherine Adichie, an engineer who's looking for new challenges. She just covered as head of department during her boss's 3 weeks holiday, and she's now exploring development opportunities because she found that that went very well. So in this success factor story, in our live demo, she will present her strength and ambition with the help of the success factors portal. In the next parts of the story, we will also show how her boss, Ralph Brunert, actually helps her to reach that potential and sponsor her progress, and how our head of talent, Mr. Martin Schulz, benefits from the information he finds in the SuccessFactors system to fill this vacancy he has at head of Department of Engineering in the US and recognizing Catherine as a strong candidate. In this session, we are focusing on the first part, on the main actor, which is our employee, Catherine Adichie. So let's get started with the live demo part of our story. Catherine is logged into her SuccessFactors system. She's just at the end of the 3 week period where she covered for her boss as head of department. She finds that went quite well, so she wants to register an achievement to be on record for her performance review. She also wants to ask for feedback from her boss, Ralph Brunert, when he comes back from his break on Monday. So to register her achievement, she can go to the continuous performance system, something that's also available with a mobile view. As we said, she wants to register an activity to be on record for her performance review. So as an activity, she chooses covered as head of department for 3 weeks. Status is actually complete because it's already at the end of that period. She marks it as an achievement, so it's coming up in her performance review. And she can here also connect it to an objective. So there's a development objectives for her to improve her leadership skills. And that's exactly what this kind of exercise plays into. She could capture some more information at an attachment, but we leave it at that. So it's stored in her records. And now she also wants to ask for feedback from her line manager. So she enters the actual achievement, then goes to the request feedback button and can select her line manager as the feedback giver. She could also ask for feedback maybe from her peers who she acted as a head of department for during that period. But at this point, she's choosing to get feedback from her line manager from Arrive. Topic of achievement is holiday cover. There are a few questions that are pre-configured. So the typical questions, what went well or what could I improve on? But as a last question, she wants to be more specific rather than general comments. And she really wants to know what her boss thinks about her potential to become head of department herself. So she sends this feedback request, and when Ralph comes back from holiday, he will see this in his SuccessFactors inbox on the browser or also on the mobile phone. That's step one for Catherine to kind of document her achievement and ask for feedback. But she already knows that she enjoyed those 3 weeks and that she wants to progress her career and become head of department or take a similar leadership role in the organization. So for this, she can explore development opportunities in the SuccessFactors solution already in the development section. So this is Catherine's career worksheet. Career worksheet is a great tool for employees who want to explore growth opportunities in the organization. The system does suggest a number of roles based on competencies on career path and other information available in the system. One of the roles the system is actually suggesting for Catherine is executive management. And she's actually adding this as a personal target role to evaluate further because that's something she wants to explore. So she now has two considered roles in her career worksheet. Engineering is where she is already working in, so it's not a surprise that she would be 100% ready. But what she's really interested in is this executive management role, where based on the information available in the system right now, her readiness is 54%. Based on the experience from the last 3 weeks, however, Catherine believes that she might actually have a higher readiness score. To find out, she can start a readiness evaluation process. In this readiness evaluation process, she will be assessed against the competencies required for this particular role. In step one, this is a self-assessment where Catherine is basically rating herself. She can also fill in comments, which for the purpose of this live demo, we will skip. Then there's the official rating, which will later be filled in by her line manager, and this will then be used by the system going forward. So let's now quickly go through the criteria which this executive management role is asking for on the competency side. So there's being a champion for change. There's cost control, where Catherine believes she is not that great in critical thinking. She believes herself to be quite strong. Same in terms of delegation and inspiring, motivating others. Managing from a distance. She has done this as a project manager, so she believes she would be okay with that. But lacking executive roles so far, she doesn't believe that she's great in strategic vision, and she's probably okay in thinking globally. So this is her own assessment. She's now finalizing this from her side, and then has a final opportunity to add some comments before she is sending it to the next step, which would be her line manager, Ralph, reviewing and then giving his own assessment. As she's aiming at a leadership role, she considers that, well, in that role, she would have to be a mentor to people. Therefore, actually acting as a mentor already, she reckons will prepare her for that role quite well. Therefore, he's now jumping into the mentoring program, which is also managed within SuccessFactors. She is already registered as a mentor for the Digital Expert Program. The Digital Expert Program is a great opportunity for younger employees to become a mentor to others, maybe even more senior employees who are not as comfortable with new technologies. So she's now looking into this program where she has already registered in the past, but she hasn't made herself available before end of this year because she felt she had too much other things to do. But now she sees this as a priority, to act as a mentor to others, to actually gain the experience she thinks she'll need for this leadership role she's aiming for. So with this click of a button, she would be available for mentees to choose from, and they can also review some of those mentoring preferences she had answered in the process. So next step for Catherine is to actually look at her development plan, right? Every employee in the organization has a development plan where there are development goals, and those goals then again can be linked to learning activities. So one of her goals is improving leadership skills. And actually, you may remember that when Catherine captured her achievement of, as she thinks, doing a good job at covering as head of department for 3 weeks, um, this went through the achievement and the continuous performance management module, and we can actually now see that this is registered here. So whenever the performance against this development goal is assessed, this achievement is easily attained. You don't have to go through emails or other records. She could also now add learning activities here, like a leadership training or compliance training, anything she thinks would be necessary for her new roles. So next step for Catherine is to actually make sure that anybody who finds out about her ambition to become a leader will also be aware of the skills and of the experience she is bringing, right? And where people actually can share their past experience or skills, where everything comes together, all the information about an employee is in the employee profile. So Catherine is now going to view her own profile with an intention to review and possibly update to make sure that it properly reflects all her capabilities. A lot of information in the employee profile with the basic personal information, employment information, compensation, and so on. But for this purpose, what we are looking at is the so-called talent information. In this section, the first element that would be relevant is the skills profile, right? And that's something that I find very important for organizations to consider, because the skills profile is often not used or not used properly because HR departments say we are never able to really have this complete. It's changing too fast, and therefore there's never a complete view of anybody's skills. And that's where, in my mind, there are two things that we can do. First is to trust employees to capture their own skills, especially when it comes to technical skills, maybe less when we talk about soft skills. And secondly, at a less formal, less structured way of adding experience, which we'll come to in a minute. But first, Catherine is looking at the skills profile and realizes there's something important missing she wants to add, which is the engineering standards and procedures. This way allows Catherine to make sure that anybody who's looking for somebody with a particular skills profile would find her. And as I said, the second element that is often missing is that skills that just don't fit into the catalog. And because you can't update the catalog fast enough, that we come to a more informal way of capturing experience, especially if it's like special assignments, projects. And this is again something Catherine reviews what the system has captured about her. So two of her main projects are already captured, but she realizes that her last big project is still missing. So she wants to add this because she feels that might be a relevant experience to help her. So she can capture the dates for the project, which started in September 19 and then ended in December 2020. And the project was again similar to her others, the development of a piece of technology, a sensor called Crocuta. And then she also describes her role in this project. So we save this, and now all the relevant projects are captured properly and can be found by, for instance, talent managers or higher level line managers if they go through the talent search feature, which we will actually see in the second part of the journey. Just going on a few other points. There's one thing saying these are my skills, this is my experience. The other thing is actually to demonstrate, to show that you have the ambition to develop into a particular role. So this is something Catherine is also doing here in career goals, where she says she actually wants to become head of department. The level for this would be director level, and the function here, actually, she wants to be head of department in engineering, and she feels she's ready to go there now. Again, this is something, there's a piece of information that could be used in the search function by the talent managers in the organization. And finally, there's a section called geographic mobility. And Catherine knows the more mobile she is, the more opportunities she would possibly find. So she basically says she is willing to relocate globally. And while capturing that, she also realizes that she forgot to let people know that she is fluent in English, which again would be crucial for roles in most of the world, actually. So she is now selecting English, and she says she's actually learned it properly, so the UK language variant, and she is fluent in speaking, reading, and writing proficiency. So this is to conclude this little live demo, the first part of our live demo story, which looks at like the hero of our story, who is the employee. And what Catherine has done now is that she's actually captured all the experience and skills she believes to have to achieve the role. She selected on the system based on suggestions made for her, make sure that she will be found, make sure that she is visible. She also started to take her own steps in terms of development in that direction by becoming a mentor in the digital experts program. And this is all basically her initiative. So she can really feel that she is owning this. And I think that's the whole message, the main message in this journey to success in succession and retention is that we put employees in the driver's seat and give them a great growth experience. Of course, at the end of the day, it's not the employees only. We also have to have line managers involved more than they usually are, and we have to have HR involved. So in the next parts of this SuccessFactors story, we will be looking at the line manager whose role is to support the employee in that journey. And we will look at HR. And in our world, HR's role is not to actually micromanage every employee's journey along this roads, but the HR's role is to actually plan and build the roads. And then employees can use those roads to like reach their career goals. That's kind of the picture I like to use here. And as a final note, at this stage, if we are looking at the employee part of the story, what's the added value from the SuccessFactors solution? Well, it definitely helps employee really to own their careers, as we say, to feel in the driver's seat. It helps employee to really feel visible. And I think that's very important. The worst thing for an employee is feeling they are doing a great job day in, day out, but are completely invisible to HR or to the leadership. And finally, with this kind of system, I don't know about you, but I really like using it. It's really easy and it's fun. And that's important because at the end of the day, experience wins. Thank you very much for watching this so far, and I hope you'll join for the next parts of the journey where we will watch Catherine's line manager, Ralph Brunert, in a live demo, and then finally Martin Schulz, who is our head of talent.